Anyway, are we ready?
Anyway,
We're live.
Oh,
right now?
good thing you didn't say anything bad, because like you always do.
Well, welcome. So we guess we didn't know we were live, but thanks for joining us today. It's Val and Roy, and we are here to talk about patinas today. You know, it was one of those topics that came up a little while ago, and I know we've certainly talked about it. I think in some of the other lives.
I think so. In fact,
done.
we thought we'd done this.
Yeah, we thought we'd done it, but we don't think we've really probably gone into like a lot of detail. We probably just said, hey, just pour it on and
there you go.
And there you go. Which is how we normally do
Well,
it. But
which is fine. This will be fun too, because I think a lot of people who don't use it are sort of misunderstanding what it does, and it's not a it's not a thing where you buff and buff and buff, and then it's a chemical reaction. So just pouring it on usually, does get a result. So that's kind of how you move it around, and we'll go into that just a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about some different.
You can use
lots
of things. Yeah, lots of things to apply it. Lots of brushes and
that's true.
Sponges.
And, yeah, I know. We were just saying a second ago. So around here, I think Val and I are usually pretty similar about how we approach stained glass. I think, and so there's just a few tools that we normally use. You were talking about a toothbrush, which I don't always use a toothbrush, and then
I just saw these laying over there, and I thought, you know what, I've used those before too.
Yeah, well, I pulled them out. Oh. She's talking about the earwax cleaners, whatever.
Oh gosh,
like
Q-tips.
Is that what
say that? Yeah.
Q-tips is brand name. You can't say Q-tips because.
What do you? Cotton swab.
Oh, a cotton swab, very good.
Thank you very much.
Unless Q-tip wants to sponsor us, that'd be great.
I thought that was funny.
Thank you. Thanks. So, anyways, yeah, I use something different depending on what I'm trying to do. I know one of the things that, as we were talking about this, and Val and I were, that sometimes people run into problems with the patina affecting the glass, staining the glass or causing some kind of discoloration or something. And then, so I know for me, like if I was concerned about that, I trying to use some tools that are a little more specific, like a paintbrush or like the cotton swabs. Or I know like people sometimes will use these small foam brushes. That's what I was looking for, was a little foam brush, because people will use those. Those seem to work fairly well too. So, but we'll show you a couple different things, and then
they're absorbent though, and it just sucks up the.
Yeah, I feel the same way a lot of times about the sponges, even the cotton swabs, to be honest, and even paintbrushes to some degree, is all those absorbs, the patinas. So then when you're applying the patina onto your work, you're not getting as much of the actual patina onto it. So usually you have to put on several coats, or you have to do it.
Or squeeze it out.
Yeah.
And you're like sometimes with paper towel. And, I don't have a brush. I'll just use paper towel and, smear it around and stuff. But the paper towel sucks up the patina, and then it's,
So you might notice that Val and I sometimes are a little impatient when it comes to some of the things we're doing. And so we want it to be like, do it right now and not have to apply like 5 or 6 coats.
Yes.
But we're going to show you anyways. We'll get started. I thought we would start maybe with just the black patina, because that seems to be one of the most common ones. So the brands this is a Novacan's, a brand that we sell here at Delphi, in case you're interested. Those are the 3 patinas that we currently offer, the copper, black, and then a black for zinc.
Mm-hmm. Now the black patina for the lead, for the solder seams, I don't know if you heard this, but I think you probably must have. But back in the day, in the olden days when we first started doing this, it was often said that if you're just kind of new and you're still not real happy with your solder seams or how your solder bead looks, black can really kind of camouflage that. So if you turn your silver solder to black, it really, I think it does minimize. So Kaylee, you might want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, ouch.
Fair enough.
No, that's an inside joke. She's a wonderful solderer, so.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. Like, if you're trying to disguise or minimize the appearance of your, well, mainly just because the black doesn't make it a little bit duller, right? And so it doesn't. It tends to fall into the background a little bit more. The lines do.
I feel like it makes the glass pop. So
I was going to say, it's like it's like an outline. It's also like an outline effect, which can be kind of can be a little bit more dramatic too. So
I think people often want to use the black patina because they're used to looking at church windows and all the lead lines there are black, but they're black because they've oxidized for 100 years, right? So I was reading something today, about patinas, and that's what this guy was saying. He goes, well, if you want it to look black, he goes, just wait 75 years, right? So obviously, most people aren't going to do that. So we have a patina to do that, so we're going to show you how it works. Now, the recommendation is that you do wear something on your hands when you're doing this. And
It's an acid.
yeah.
So you got to remember
Yep.
that, right? And go ahead, I'm sorry. I
Oh,
didn't
no,
mean to
you're
interrupt.
fine. No, that's good.
But if
So-
you have a cut that you didn't know you had,
you'll find it quickly.
you will find out
Yeah.
you've got it.
So, and it will stain your hands, and you'll see as we're kind of working, we'll show you some stuff that you can see where the stain kind of can get on your hands too. So that'd be a good reason to wear them. We just have these nitrile gloves, or you can wear latex gloves if you like. Since we, to be honest, so here at Delphi we have a sink in our classroom that we do all this sort of stuff in, and it really is a utility sink. So we don't really care how nice it looks, to be honest. And so we do the patinas often in the sink. Again, I'm not sure if everybody has that same luxury, right? Or you have the place to just mess up a sink, but it will. I guess my point was, you wouldn't want to pour this in your nice sink because it will discolor it, right? And then you'll have to kind of clean it. So today we're just going to use this little plastic kind of bin here to kind of catch what we're trying to do. So
Stepping stone mold.
yeah, it's a stepping stone
Item
mold, right?
number 88.
Yeah, I can't remember which
They're
one
on a
was
hot
it.
deal right now, turns out.
Are they?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
That's
Which
probably
one
not the
was
right
I-
number.
Yeah, it does many things, doesn't it? I mean, right? So
They're
I
very
guess we were
handy.
going to do this one in black. So
Okay,
did,
do it.
Did I bring enough stuff to do enough patinas? That's what I was wondering. Okay, so we're just going to do this one black.
What do you mean?
So
You mean, to mean
do I have enough
things?
parts? Yeah, I was like.
Well, yeah, but
something
we
like
can
that.
do this.
Oh, we
one
can always do that in the copper.
in the copper
Yeah.
if you'd rather.
No, it doesn't make a difference. So I'll put
All
some
right.
gloves on, right? So
Here we
get
go.
all ready. So good. And then
What method are you going to use?
yeah, I'm going to do. Well, let me show you. Let's show you a couple. Then let's do the Q-tip one if you guys want to see what this is like. So I'll get a little closer so Kaylee doesn't have to lean over the table so much. I know now. One of the things about patinas is you can contaminate them, right? So if you are always, taking some kind of a tool and dipping in, dipping into the bottle, I mean, you can contaminate it. And I think mainly all you're doing is just shortening the life of it, possibly. So, it's not as you weaken it. I guess is maybe a better way of looking at that, right? So,
Okay.
so a lot
What
of
are you
times,
going to do? Put it in the cap?
I'm just going to no. Why I'm today? I'm going to just dip into it because I'm just going to do it one
Well,
time.
you just said not to do
I
it.
know. I said don't do this, but I'm
Okay.
one of those don't do this.
So this is a good method too, when you just want to be real directional and like you maybe are a little worried
Yeah,
about
can you-
staining your glass. You can kind of keep it more right on your solder.
Yeah, or
But-
using a paintbrush, right?
but
But like
see,
I said,
it's
I
like-
usually
I can't see. Okay.
Yeah, can
It's
you see
like magic, isn't it? I mean, it
you can
just.
see how it darkens quickly.
I think it's cool. It's just,
So one of the things, if you see like the tip of the Q-tip, right? So this kind of discoloration that comes here, this is what potentially could get on your glass or get on your hands or do something, right? Now the more I rub over it, you'll see that it does get a little bit darker. So it doesn't turn to a pitch black right away. And I don't know if you've noticed this, Val, but I have this theory in my brain that the patinas aren't as effective as they used to be. I think years ago they
Oh,
probably
yeah.
weren't as safe, right? And so we were just using them and they turned pretty black. But nowadays, like if you notice when I first put it on, it was more of like a pewter look, which wasn't bad. So if you wanted more of an antique-y sort of look to your piece.
and they didn't. They used to sell a brass, didn't they?
Yeah, there was an antique brass.
An
they called
antique
it, but,
brass, so
they
not a
stopped.
shiny brass, but an antique brass. And I sometimes think with the black, if you buff it up really good, you can get that same effect.
Yeah, we're going to show you some other little technique here in a second too about this. So you can see I'm just running this on there. I go over it a couple times. Now the patina really needs to be rinsed off. So like I wouldn't just leave this overnight and then do something with it tomorrow, because this patina that's on here will continue to cause some oxidation to the metal. You start to get this white powdery stuff that you see sometimes if you don't clean your flux off your piece. So I would rinse this at this point.
They also say that too, that acid sitting on there for any length of time can sometimes start to break down the adhesive of your copper
Oh
foil.
gosh, yeah. I mean, I guess there's
Yeah, so
always
there's some
that.
reasons not to leave it on there for extended periods
This is
of time.
good. This is going to be. Let's watch him struggle with the cap.
Distilled water.
So again, I don't know if you've watched us before. We're in one of our classrooms, but this particular classroom doesn't have any running water. So usually we just bring in a jug of water, right, to do this. But I grabbed intentionally. It's distilled water, and then this is going to be, it's not a big deal with black, so I think maybe you might agree with me. Black is not a very finicky patina. It's pretty hard to mess up, to be honest. So it doesn't really care if you have city water or country water that's really pretty hard, or something like well water. So, but copper is another story. So I bought some distilled water mainly to do the copper. But since I have it in here, I'm just going to use this, right? So we're going to rinse off the patina. Now you can see it doesn't really change the color of the solder seams any, right? The water is really just taking off that extra little bit of patina. Now, if I come in and dry this, because this one isn't too bad, right? You can, I can see a little bit of the patina comes up on the paper towel, all right? So a lot of times for me, when I'm drying, I just pat it dry and don't rub it. But and I think on the back, I'm just going to pour the patina. So if you guys want to see the pour technique, which I can tell you, Val and I do, right? I mean, her and I probably do this technique a lot. I know it sounds like almost a cop-out or something like, oh, all right. But the advantage to this is that, so this is what I do. I pour on a little bit, right? And you don't need to like put on a ton. And then I use, a lot of times, a paper towel to kind of, and all I'm doing here is moving kind of the patina around so that it gets on there. And but this little higher, I think, concentration of patina, I think it's a more even color, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Instead of trying to paint it on.
Instead of trying to paint it on. And then, again, you can see what happens to the paper towel, right? So this is just part of the reaction from that.
Dab the top up here.
Like where? Oh,
on the edge.
Oh, yeah, you can see I left this, right, silver, so I would just use this. And then, like Val's point was, I mean, a lot of it gets absorbed in the paper towels, so there's not a lot of patina there. So you know, I would probably pour a little bit more if I really was concerned about getting this really, really nice and dark. But
yeah,
and again,
or you could do it over. You know, something that didn't have water in it, and then you could just, dump it back in, or or just turn the edge in the stuff in the bottom.
You can see that's the black patina, and again, if you see what happens to the paper towel, right, while we're doing that, it gets pretty messy. I would then come in, if I was done, and rinse this off, right. Now, I was, telling Val that for me personally, I haven't run into very many situations where I found that the patina is staining the glass, is actually staining the glass. I think that the only time it happened to me was on an iridized glass, and I think I had left the patina on too long before rinsing it off, and so that's where sometimes you can run into an issue. So I'm just going to set that there.
I think you're right, though. Leaving it on causes an issue, because I just did an iridized piece, and I had 0 issues with it. But I rinsed it off right away.
Yeah, right. So I think that's the key. Now, so I guess we can talk about polishing it now, right? Or
yeah, I mean, we'll just go through the whole process, and we can show you the other. Want to do that? Okay.
Yeah. So what happens when we put the patina on, right, and then dry it, it looks dull. I don't know if you noticed that. So it has more of a
matte finish.
Yeah, matte finish to it. And so, now, if we don't do anything to this, it's just going to continue over time to continue to oxidize, right? And it'll get darker as it goes. But if you want that kind of more shiny sort of look to it, then we would wax them, right? So we would use something called a finishing compound, and I think you can see we have that up on the table.
Right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you?
I didn't get a new one. That's just.
Oh, I didn't know if you're. We sell. I thought maybe we actually sell like 3 different brands of the finishing compound. So, and it's all pretty much the same product. We just carry a variety. Just so there's other options.
Oh, I didn't bring any.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. I thought that maybe you had, because one of them, I think, the others look like they're in bottles like that.
Well, and the next one of the other ones, you can use that. I guess we're not doing that, but I'm thinking flux. Never mind.
Yeah, we forgot to talk about that.
Okay.
So then we would wax it, right? So what the finishing compound does is it's a wax, so it just protects, it puts a protective coating over the solder seams, or over, in this case, over the patina, so that the patina stays nice and shiny and doesn't continue to oxidize. Do you want to use one of our cotton rags?
Well, I was going to say the same thing I do with the patina often is sometimes I'll just put a little on there, and this probably isn't the way you do it.
Okay. Oh, that's exactly how I
do it. We really don't need very much of it. And then this is not an acid, so often I just use my finger. But then it doesn't, but by doing that I'm not soaking it up. But often
if I'm wiping the patina off.
No. And so I do this. I put a little on there. This is just my crazy method. And then with the paper towel, I have some on it, and then I flip it over, and I usually don't add any more. If, maybe I was a little bit scant with that original. But if you see that you can, so then what I look at is now it has that film on it, right? So then what I think I do, what I need to do is I wipe off. I think this is a mistake. Some people they get upset because nothing's happening yet. But I have to get that excess off before I can actually. I'm going to need a dry paper towel, please, my assistant. So I wipe all the excess off, and then thank you very much. Then this is then when you start buffing. So, and it does such a pretty job to shine, and it also, that finishing compound shines up the glass really pretty. So can you see it kind of is rubbing off?
Yeah, I was going to point out that if you notice, I mean, for those of you at home following along, we put the wax over everything, right? I mean, Val put it over the glass, not just the seams, right? So you don't have to be nitpicky and just paint the wax onto the seams. We coat everything because it actually keeps your whole project cleaner longer, right?
I don't know if you can really see how much shinier it is.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, it looks a lot shinier.
Yeah, thank you. So, and then what that in turn also does is that it prevents oxidation. So now we've got it polished pretty, but because of that, we put this layer of the wax type finishing compound on, so now it kind of seals it and protects it from. So you and I mean, both he and I feel like that's a pretty important step in finishing.
Oh, yeah, I did. The finishing compound?
Yeah, in finishing any like stained glass piece, because if you really get a bad case of oxidation, it's ugly, it's in the solder seams, and sometimes about the only way to really get rid of it is just to go back in and remelt the solder seams. I mean, sometimes the simichrome polish
when it gets
can do it.
oxidation.
Yeah,
right?
But anyway, so that's the process.
Yes.
We would clean the first after we've soldered it. We would clean off all the flux with flux remover.
Yeah, flux removers, right? Either this one or
That's my favorite.
This one.
Because lots of people will tell you that they believe, and I think you and I do too, that if you have flux residue on here, that can greatly affect your ability for the patina to turn evenly. So cleaning off that acid, which is also the flux, I mean, is also an acid, is really important. So one of those ones that neutralize the acid, one of those cleaners, is really the way to go. And so then, after we've done that, then we just apply the patina.
Yes.
Right? I'm just trying to give you the order.
Oh, yeah.
Then you apply the patina, get it rubbed around and whatever. Then you rinse it, like we did here. And then the final thing would be a finishing compound of some kind.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I jump in then real quick about
yes,
the black?
I want you to.
Good.
Yes.
So one thing about the black, if you notice this one, that Val's got nice and polished up, but it's not like a real deep black, right? I mean, it looks more like a pewter sort of look. And one reason why is because the black patina, we just patinaed it like 2 minutes ago or whatever. So I was telling Val, so my background was I did a little studied fine arts in college and did some sculpture work, and so there. We patina the metal a lot of times, and so approaching the patina was a little different than this, but some of it's similar. And so one of the things that we would do is put the patina on and wait a bit, and the term was we were letting the patina bite into the metal, and as Val pointed out earlier, I mean, it's a chemical reaction, and so we're just letting that reaction go a little bit further. So one of the things that I do sometimes with black. Oh,
I'm sorry, but just you're saying we're not saying leave the patina on there for.
Oh,
you're
no,
saying that before you polish it.
Yeah.
You rinse it off after you've done it, but before you polish it, you let it sit for a while.
Yeah, let me show you this one. So I did this one yesterday. So I patinaed this one yesterday, and so one of the things that I do is I'll patina it. And I'll let the patina sit, maybe 5 or 10 minutes while I'm doing this, right? And then rinse it off, and then let it sit overnight. And I don't even dry it. I just let it air dry, because if you'll notice, sometimes I'm going to reach in front of you now. So this is like we showed you before. This little dark color is some of the patina coming off, right? And whether this was a a cotton T-shirt or a paper towel. It doesn't really matter. You still get the same thing. So you're just removing a little bit of the patina. I've just found that if I let the black sit overnight, it tends to be a little more durable. And then often, if you don't think it looks dark enough, I'll patina it again. And so I was going to show you that on this one. And oh, can I have one of those cotton swabby things? Thank you very much. So I would just come in and do the same thing again, and then just patina this. Again, I'm not as, to be honest, often I do the same technique that Val does, and I just pour it on because it's faster, right? And also, not only is it faster, but I think, again, you have a higher concentration of patina because we're not, it's not soaking up into whatever we're using, but same deal, right? So I would let this, as I'm doing this, give it a minute or two to kind of sit in there.
And this is a good tip, too, because that's often one of the main complaints people have with black patina is that
it's not dark enough.
Once they polish and everything, it gets kind of that more bronzy look to it, so which is really pretty. But if you really
the same deal, right? So we rinse it off. And then I told you, again, when I dry them, I just don't rub them. I think the Val was doing a nice job of that earlier. I don't know if you saw that. She's not really, again, we're not really rubbing her. We're doing just more kind of patting and letting that dry. And then it just gets darker. I mean, even that one looks, in comparison, right? It's a little darker than this first one. And again, now when I get ready to wax this, I'm going to wait till tomorrow to wax it, right? I think of it again in my head as always, let the patina bite into the metal, right? Give it time to set in. Again, as Val pointed out, I'm not leaving the patina on at this point because that's not a good thing, right? I'm just not waxing it. I'm letting it just kind of sit there, let the air kind of get to it and do its thing, and then I'll wax it the next day. I found that it's just a little easier to keep, again, if you're looking for deeper blacks. And to be honest, I've even done this like 3 times. Right, so this one I patinaed twice, and tomorrow if I don't think it's dark enough, I might patina it again, and then wait till the next day, right, and then to wax it again. So, okay, that's a good one. Or like the nice thing too, though, is if you want more of a pewter look, you just wax it right away, and you get that more, kind of a not so deep black. So that's to me, I think the nice thing about black patinas is you can get a lot of different looks with just how you apply it, or how you wipe it off, or whatever you do, that sort of thing. Now. There's someone that works here, Daisy, maybe she was at one of our lives before, right?
Yeah.
So Daisy was in here before. So she uses a tool that Val and I actually don't use probably at all, or not very often, but we think we might start using it a little bit more. It's called a Patina Buddy. So I think we have a surprising something Delphi, another things Delphi sells, right? Looks like this, if you can see like what it looks like in the back, right? But it's a Patina Buddy. This one you can see has been used a few times. And it's made of brass, so brass is a soft metal, so it won't scratch the glass, or it's not going to harm the solder seams any. And a couple ways of using it. One is you can use it beforehand to kind of rough up the metal a little bit, just so it, again, grabs the patina. I think what it's probably really doing is just removing any oxidation that's already occurring to the solder, and then so the patina can grab onto it. But Daisy was saying she adds the patina to the Patina Buddy. And then we're going to show you that in a second on the zinc, right? So
yes, on the
I think
zinc.
that's probably where it works pretty effectively.
Do you want to do it since we're doing black, and then we'll be done with black?
Yeah, you want to do the black?
Yeah.
All right. So I grabbed a couple pieces of zinc because I wanted to show you. So this is zinc, right? So if you're not familiar with zinc, this is an adjustable U zinc is what it's referred to. It is extruded zinc, right? So the metal's pulled through something, and because of that, sometimes they are a little oily, So when you get them in the box from us, and they sometimes have a little slippery oil on them, which can interfere with the patina definitely. So a lot of times I would clean that, and I often just use Dawn dish soap, right? Because it's a good
grease cutter.
It's a good grease cutter. The other thing you could do though is again you could use a Patina Buddy beforehand to clean that up. The other thing that I use a lot of times, I think Val and I both talk about this is steel wool. If you're not familiar with it, it comes in a variety of different grades. This is the finest, and it is a 40, so 0000. That's the grade of it, which means it's the finest. And then we'll use that. I don't know if you can see this one. There are some pieces laying around here, and this little bit of white here is some oxidation that's just occurring on the zinc. Probably maybe a little, sometimes the flux will do that too, right? So by doing this, we can kind of take that off. and clean it up, it looks a little better. I guess I didn't do a great job. And then, yeah, you can see some here on the back side, right? We can go and clean that off. And then we can patina it. Now there's a special patina just for zinc. This is, in class a lot of times I always do this just to show you guys what happens if you use a black. This is the regular black patina for solder, right? So if I put it in there, it's like people are always like, wow, that is so amazing. I mean, look how nice and dark and black that is, right? The problem is it doesn't stay on, right? I mean, you can just practically wipe the whole thing right off. So it's why we don't normally use this one because it doesn't stay. So I'm going to actually hit this with a steel wool again, right? So if you don't like that, you can always take steel wool and take the patina back off. Sorry, I'm just smearing around a bit of patina on there, I think. But if we hit this beforehand and then come in with this, I'm going to do it over the container. It's got a childproof cap on it. I just dip it in. Is that what? I know what I was supposed to write. So you can see this one. Now, one of the things I was saying that, like I know Daisy likes to do is come in with this as she's applying it. Because even this has a tendency to want to kind of wipe off. Do you see it kind of wiping off as we go? Mm-hmm. But the thinking is if you just keep at it, with this and keep working it, add some more patina. I'm going to just pour this on. Now, usually for me, I do the same thing, right? So we're going to rinse this off and then just leave it.
It did take better after the patina, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does grab better, right? So now I'm going to just rinse that off. So again, we want to get the patina off because it's an acid, and then just let it air dry, right? That's going to stay pretty dark once that dries up. Again, I don't usually use any paper towel or something because you'll just remove some of it, right? And then you'll just have to apply the patina again. So if you let it dry and then let it go, should be all right. It's not bad. It's a little. The zinc's tough. It always has kind of a little blotchy sort of look to it.
I was going to say, I think one of the things that I'm noticing about the patina buddy is that it's making it more evenly coated.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah,
I think instead of blotchy, which sometimes
not so irregular. Yep.
Yeah. Good. All right.
Good. What else do we got?
Okay, so we got.
So then we're left with
copper.
Let's show the Simichrome real quick, right? Because this is a nice little product. Simichrome polish. So if you want to just leave your piece just totally silver, right? I don't know which one I'm going to use. Doesn't make a difference.
You know what what I thought of last night after we talked about this yesterday? I have a story about the Simichrome polish.
You do?
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Is it a good one?
Yeah. Well, when I was teaching a lot of the beginning stained glass classes.
Yeah.
I would, just like we show you, we were kind of just pouring on and I would turn my ring, my sterling ring, and it would turn it black, or it would turn it, I think it mostly was black. Maybe it even did. But anyway, it was the Simichrome that took it off.
I use it for cleaning my jewelry.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it can work that way too, as opposed to just shining things up or removing some.
Yeah, we read a bunch of stuff. It does chrome and does all kinds of stuff. But so this one, again, the thing to remember is always use a flux remover after you've soldered, right? I mean, that does a ton to remove any kind of oxidation or that goes on. And so I cleaned this yesterday with the flux cleaner. So it looks pretty clean. But this will come in, and again, this product is so it's so fine that again you're not going to scratch the glass by doing this. And then we're going to come in here, rub it on here. I know Val has probably a better technique than I do. But do you see, so this is like an old cotton t-shirt that I'm using here, right? Do you see this black is actually some of that oxidation that's just coming off as you're doing this? So
I like the smell.
Yeah, it's kind of actually really kind of...
Petroleum.
Is that what it is? Yeah, make a mental note. I have to keep Val away from the...
Hide the Simichrome.
Hide the Simichrome. So...
so shiny.
So shiny, right?
I don't know. See if you can move it in the light.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see
And
it
tell us what all the black is.
Yeah, the black is just oxidation, right? So the black really is just So as soon as you get done soldering your piece and cleaning it with the flux remover and drying it or whatever, as soon as air hits that metal, the metal is oxidizing.
Which is that like tarnish?
Yeah, it's like a tarnish, yeah. So, I mean, it's what it is, oxygen molecules are attaching to the metals, right? I mean, that's really what's occurring. And so because of that, you get some different, looks to it. Usually it looks dull and
but that's amazing, isn't it, to
yeah,
me, how much there comes off of that.
And like I said, I cleaned this yesterday,
so you can see right? How shiny it's getting.
Yeah. So it's, sometimes the key is buffing it, right? I mean, I know that sometimes for me, I when I was doing this, I was like, oh, it doesn't look all that super shiny. But then you come back in and buff it, it's actually
you got to get all the extra off.
And it's tricky sometimes getting into all the little nooks and crannies because the solder seam, usually, or bead, has a nice little kind of rounded edge to it. So Val talked about using toothbrushes. I think you were using them for patinas, right? But
for specifically the copper, I use it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So I won't use your toothbrush on this then.
No, don't.
I'm not going to. But you could, so sometimes with a finishing compound and with this product, that stuff gets caught in all the little corners and nooks and crannies, and sometimes it's hard to get out, right, just by rubbing it with a rag that goes over it. So a nice soft brush sometimes is a great way of cleaning that up. Or you could use one of these cotton swabs too, I guess, right? So that's maybe another nice way of doing that.
Yeah, but what happens is too, after a little while, it becomes pretty obvious. So, I never would just knock myself out just until I let it go for just a little bit, and then I can go see where,
It'll haze up the spots that you missed, and then, like Val's saying, it's real easy to see. In fact, even this one is kind of, there's some little, I don't know if you can see it, but there's these little smudges that are out here on the glass that kind of are showing up. And then that's just some spots I missed. I see another little spot in there, whatever. I only did this one half side here. I didn't do this part here. I know that it still all looks pretty shiny, mainly just because it's, again, I just soldered it yesterday or something. So
it's not done
didn't have a lot of time to really get dull. And the other nice thing about this product, which I just found out yesterday, is that it leaves a thin protective film over it. So you don't have to actually use like the finishing compound. It's already protecting it from the air, so it's going to stay nice and shiny. But again, I think that one works real well if you're trying to keep your solder seams to be really silver looking, right? So,
good.
Great, that was that one. So now we're up to I think the last one is just
copper.
Copper, which we're going to do.
We're going to do this?
Yeah, let's do this one, and then we'll do some of
Kaylee's? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Go for it. So, we've kind of alluded to the fact that the copper tends to be more temperamental.
Yeah.
Is a good probably way to think about it.
So
I think, even more importantly with the copper would be the cleaning you do more importantly than the black, you want to make sure that everything is cleaned really well. I mean, that will help. Probably this is where the distilled water definitely comes into play. You would want to do that. So once but then the overall process is really the same. I find, and I think a lot of people find, that the copper patina does sort of take unevenly, like in splotches or something. And so I've just, over the years, started using a toothbrush, and I will, like you do, pour a little on here, and then I will just use the toothbrush and kind of make circular motions. And sometimes it's amazing how, when I go back over it with the toothbrush, it sort of blends better, if that makes sense. Do you want me to go ahead and do this one?
Yeah, go ahead and do it. So one of the things that I've found, with copper too, is that, like the black patina, like if you clean your piece, right, so you soldered it, you clean it with a flux remover, and then you said, oh, tomorrow I'm going to use the black patina, that's probably okay, right? I've found with the copper that you should clean it as soon as you clean it. If you're going to patina it, then you should patina it then, right? You shouldn't really wait too long to do the copper patina. So,
all right, so I'm just going to, same deal, right? And then, I'm just kind of moving it around with this one was soldered yesterday too as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the deal. If this one, sometimes when you try to patina something that's been soldered a while, you're going to have, this is covering pretty nice.
It is pretty covering.
Yeah, normally, so like I said, then I'm just going to kind of do this. Now, the other thing about the patina is that you're going to want to polish it before you get too upset about how it looks, because sometimes it can look really bad. I mean, this one looks great. I wish maybe when we do
this one was hard last week. I mean, I cleaned it again today.
Okay, but anyway, it's interesting because it looks. I mean, if you can look, I mean, it still doesn't look very coppery or very pretty in my opinion, right?
It's a little dull.
Yeah. So what we'll do is, this is where I think the biggest difference comes when you use the finishing compounds and stuff, is with the copper, because I'll show you here. Just to, can I have a couple more? Or you could give me that
You want to use the right?
white? Mm-hmm.
That's one of my.
Did you hear what I was
I
almost?
know what you're going to say. It is not one of my old T-shirts, but
Okay, all right. I kind of made a mess. I'm
You
going
did
to cover
make a
that
mess.
up because that doesn't look good.
I thought you were
Okay.
going to do it inside here.
No.
Okay,
Do what inside there?
the patina, but
Oh. Yeah, well, it'd been nice if you just said that when I was doing it. Okay, so get me.
thought you knew what you were doing.
I want the finishing compound.
So as we're talking about this, so let's pretend like you're doing this, and then all of a
Let's
sudden
do.
you decide, oh gosh, I didn't want to do this one in copper, but I've already patinaed it, right? So you can just use again the fine steel. Well, that's the other thing the fine steel will do is just remove the patina, because the patina is just literally just on the surface of the metal. Or the simichrome polish does the same
Good one,
thing.
Kaylee.
Good one, Kaylee. Yep.
That's
Simichrome
what I
polish
used it for.
definitely does it. Does a nice job. So, well, that's a good point then. Is that if you patinaed it, you don't use the simichrome. This is true of the copper or black. You don't use the simichrome polish after that
Only
because
for the
you will.
silver.
Yeah, I only use it. Yeah, that's good. Good, real good point. So I see
too,
that
sometimes.
she's going to be a little more careful with.
Well,
the,
I just was going to say, because the more you put on it, the more times you just have to wipe to get the excess off before you can actually start doing anything. I really prefer paper towel, to be honest. I'm not digging this for some reason.
We're trying to.
Yeah, well,
Be eco-friendly.
Yeah, be equal. I was going to say save the planet, but.
well, this kind of doesn't, when you're doing this particular thing where I kind of want it to absorb, this is not as
But
handy.
it's definitely looking shinier.
Well, it's not anywhere near what it's going to be. It's going to be magnificent.
I can hardly wait.
I know, but see, because of this, it's not absorbing. It's taking me forever to get all this off of there. Okay, you ready? Here we go.
Actually, pretty nice.
Yeah, pretty nice, but see, not much. But like we were saying earlier, I'm a huge fan of this finishing compound and what it also does to the glass, because I
Yes.
just think,
We'll look at that again.
yeah, wait till I get this.
Clarity.
Yeah, like I said, it really makes your peas, like I said, you shouldn't have to clean your peas afterwards with too much, right? Because we don't really recommend, like Windex or all these glass cleaners that have ammonia in them are not
Look
really
at,
good for glass.
Kaylee, stay on. I want to show you. Look at what I'm going to do on the edge, because this is a sun catcher, right? So there's no hard metal framing around it. So when you're doing this, I have gotten overzealous before, and I rip my foil.
Oh,
So,
I've done it too.
kind of try to stay mindful of, I'm going to just kind of continue to sort of burnish that outer edge down and not start going like that and catch the lip, because I've done that a few times. Okay.
Nice.
Look at that.
Does that show good?
Oh, it does.
Oh, okay. Ha, ha.
Show the other side, the non-patina side in comparison, right? So,
Oh, yeah.
So,
Anyway. Oh, whoop.
well,
Well, at least it wasn't a sink.
yeah, it wasn't. No, it wasn't a sink. So, one of the things, again, if you're kind of, I know it gets a little confusing. So, I think we both in agreement with copper. You need to use a finishing compound right away with copper, right? Once you get it on there and rinsed off, then you should just come in with a finishing compound right afterwards. Black, like I said, it's not as finicky. You can wait a while, and as I told you guys before, I usually wait at least 24 hours before I put the finishing compound on a black patina, because I think the black does get a little darker, and it's less likely to wipe off if you do it that way. So,
Okay, so now this one is a panel that Kaylee made, which is beautiful, lovely. I like the colors of green.
is that a bevel cluster we sell?
It is. It's
And
one
the
of super
jewels.
powerful clusters. Yes.
The jewels, I love the jewels. Okay, well, this isn't, we obviously are pretty far through this. I mean, we don't have much longer to go, and we haven't really talked much about foils, and we're not going to. So we just
Oh, the
thought we'd
foil.
tell you
All
that.
right.
No.
Sorry.
No, well, this is a good example because Kaylee, you can tell, Kaylee originally intended for this to be copper because she put the copper frame stock around the outside. But if she didn't, can you see that she used so much clear glass? If her foil is a little uneven around her glass, it'll peek through the silver and you'll see the copper. And so if that happens to you, then you can always, if it bothers you, you can just go ahead and turn it copper, right? If this were something where we really didn't want to see that peaking copper, but we knew that ahead of time, then we would have used a back foil that was silver so that any uneven will match the color of the solder if we wanted to leave it silver. Did that make sense?
I think it makes sense, right? So the foils do come, if you're not familiar, with 3 different color backings. So they come with a black back, a silver back, or just copper, right? And so as Val is pointing out, if you're using transparent glass and you are going to patina your piece, then you should match the foil to how you're going to leave the solder, right? Or how the solder is going to end up.
Yeah.
So black back for black patina, copper for copper
Right.
patina.
So my thing was always, if I'm using glass I can't see through, I'm just going to use copper on copper because it's the cheapest. And sometimes I feel like it sticks the best, right?
I might agree with that.
And so other than that, if it's glass you can see through, you're going to want to use the same color back of foil to match what you want your finished solder color to be. How was that? Got to think about that one, right?
That was a good one.
Okay, so
Let
anyway.
me show this one then again just real quick, because also I know we're making a big deal about it, but this one I have silver-backed foil, so I don't know if you can see it. Sometimes you don't notice it that much.
Barely.
Yeah,
it
it's
just
hard
really
to
just
see.
depends, even though this glass is relatively
You
transparent.
can see a little bit right
Yeah.
on that seam, but
Yeah, otherwise it's not, so I guess it just depends. To me, this is one of those, I think only other stained glass people notice that type of thing, right? Does your copper
I think
match your
definitely the
solder or
copper is a
whatever,
little
but-
more, can be a little more glaring with the
I would agree,
clear
yeah,
glass.
yeah,
So
I would agree.
okay, so do you want us
Okay.
to do this?
go for it.
Yeah, just
I'll
put some
finish it when we're
patina
done.
in there.
Okay, pouring it on.
No turning back.
Or we could use a brush or something.
We can use it. Yeah, I mean, I'll just, back in the day before I became so safety conscious, I would just use my fingers, and that's probably how I turn my ring colors. But I think, like I said, I like that, like you said before, Roy, I like to have that little bit of extra on there, and not just doing the seams, but, so I'm just kind of moving it around, but I think I need some more. Not a lot, but, I mean, you can be real frugal and start moving it all around if you want, but.
You could tip it and do that,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
right.
We're just trying to get it all over the table too much, so. Like I said, in our classroom, I'd be doing this at the sink.
Yeah, I don't want
right?
to
'Cause
flip
we
you
have
either, Kaylee, so watch out.
Yeah, we shouldn't want to splash patina on you.
So you can see how when I went over that, it got better. I don't know if you could see that, but so, when I spend just a little time with my little soft toothbrush, I think it really,
Especially at the joint, you can really see.
yeah, and then out here, it started to turn a little bit if I just, so it's just, I think sometimes with the, see how this is dark right there? Now that's what I'm talking about. Now look, see how it came, it helped, yeah, it definitely helps, but it's a little more of a process than just dumping it on and maybe, if I had enough on here, layered
I
it
like
up.
that, yeah.
But
I have not done the toothbrush technique for the copper, so
That seems
I'm
to work
learning
really well.
something. That's a good tip.
yeah,
I mean, that's
think
better
so.
than just pouring it on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we still we combine the two, right? Pour it on and spread it around and brush it in. But yeah, it's pretty. I think copper's going to be pretty with this. Oh gosh, I'm getting tired.
Well, come
That was
back.
doing the
Well,
hard work for me.
Yeah, really.
come back tomorrow. Maybe we'll.
I'll let
They
you.
can look for the project in the winter catalog, holiday catalog.
Oh, this one's going in. Nice.
I'll let you do the back, Kayla.
Okay, fair enough.
She's going to let you use her toothbrush too.
I'm
sure hope so.
I'm gonna give you this
Except
toothbrush
she's going to need it later on
when I brush my
her next
teeth.
project.
brushes her teeth.
God, you're so funny.
Thank you.
No, she's not using it in her mouth.
Okay.
Don't try this at home.
What do we think? It's hard to.
pretty good.
Probably got
I
all
think
this.
it's really good.
Doing this, there's one other thing we didn't talk much about too, and so we talked about how the acid could be, or this flux can, get in a cut and really cause stinging and stuff. So as I'm doing
You
this,
got, a spot here and there. I don't
yeah,
know.
okay,
Yeah, there.
go ahead, put your finger in there again. As I'm doing this, I almost think I'm feeling it spray. So
Oh, yeah,
An
usually.
apron?
You can wear
chances
like that.
are,
Yeah,
if I, wash this and, because I've seen that,
You're
you
gonna
could
have
get little tiny holes in
spots
it.
or
So,
holes in it.
yeah, so don't
We do
underestimate.
have one more spot, I hate to point out, but just down here.
I should let you try.
It's Kaylee's piece, so I don't want you to
I
mess it
know,
up.
we don't
so.
want it. Oh, see, you missed that one right there. Okay, well, I think you get and you can always, if we go ahead and rinse this, okay, rinsing is, I think, your job.
All right.
If you go ahead and rinse this and then later you see a spot, just go ahead and patina it,
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. If you see you've missed a spot, just go ahead and apply some more and then rinse it off.
Or if you don't like the color of it, I've done before too, is gone back in with some steel wool, even if it was just like one area that you didn't like how the color turned out, because sometimes, maybe you didn't clean it as well as you thought you did, right, and get all the flux off it, and just remove it with steel wool and then just patina that one spot. So, and I'm trying to do this without getting a lot of stuff on the table, but
You're doing great.
Yeah.
if I had a bigger tray, that probably would have made it easier.
Well, I thought someone decided they'd get one.
I think it's on the other table.
I think it's behind you.
That's all right.
We don't need it.
I did go grab it.
We don't need it.
Anyways.
Yeah, but I still think that one of the biggest things about the copper patina is you just don't be too disappointed before you get it polished. Because see, I think right now I don't think it looks pretty at all. It's just kind of dull and
Yeah, it's real dull and blotchy,
and
right?
blotchy,
That's what
and,
we, ink
and
is
so if you
something,
want,
but-
we can shine up some of it if you want, or
Yeah, why don't we? You want to
okay,
do that
yeah,
one?
but will you get kind of paper
God,
towel,
just some
please?
Paper towels. Hold on. Oh, you
Oh,
want to
hold
put some
this?
down? Is that what you want to do?
No, she wants to use it instead of the.
Yeah,
cotton shirt.
but yeah, put it down. But I also want to polish with it. I'll let you guys save the planet.
I'll let you grab however many you like.
I don't know. I don't need a lot. I just
Oh.
need one.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell that.
But I do think this part too, right? Getting as much water off as you
Yeah,
can.
I think so.
Okay. How's that look? I can't really. I think it's wet on the back, so it's.
Yeah, so if you see, Val, did you mention earlier about shaking the container?
I didn't mention
Yeah,
it.
so it is a wax, and so it settles into the bottom of the container. And so you do have to mix it up, especially if you haven't used it in a while. You sometimes have to really mix it up, so because all the wax kind of settles down.
I'll just kind of maybe do this bottom half. Is that
Mm-hmm.
okay? Okay.
I think you might need another coat eventually.
Okay. So then, I kind of smeared it on. And then I go back and I'm really trying to get up. I'm not really after polishing quite yet, but I'm just trying to
Get the excess
get the
off.
excess out.
You said you needed one.
Well, I needed one for that process. Now I need one for this process. Okay, so then we're just going to kind of, I can see a spot right here I missed. So you'll have to.
Well, like you said earlier, copper is the most finicky of the patinas.
It's definitely the most finicky of the patinas. Sometimes the length of time you leave the patina on, I think, really affects it with copper. My experience is the longer it stays on, the more
Yeah.
you get this kind
You
of
get-
a look. I think we probably kept it on a little longer. We might have.
We would have gotten a little bit more.
We would have rinsed it
shine.
off sooner if we weren't talking.
But like I said, you can keep going till, it will.
It's starting to even shine up right there.
But it does sometimes take some elbow grease,
So you're getting your workout in, Val.
I know. So also too, I think people don't. I don't think if you want to go back and if you want to go back and try to add more or try to patina a little bit more, you could just do it, right? You don't think? Do you think you have to take the?
I think you have to take off the patina. Personally, I think adding more copper makes sense, but could be wrong. Anyway. The point I think hopefully you'll see is it's definitely more finicky, right? I mean,
Yeah,
temperamental
definitely.
than black.
This was done last week.
Black
This
is
was
hard.
done yesterday.
Black is so
Yeah.
hard. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Even there.
But
Even that week ago, we probably could have gone in with some steel wool and hit all the seams real quick. I mean, just cleaning it with the flux remover, that's a great way of neutralizing the flux, but it's not really a way of getting any oxidation that might be on the surface of the piece. So,
I don't know. I think
yeah, that's not bad, right? I mean, it's starting to get
it's starting
there.
to.
Oh, it's getting there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it definitely takes a little more elbow grease, right, than
Yes.
than the black does. Like I said, I'm a fan of the black because it's easier and
It's
it's hard to
easier.
mess up, to be honest, with the black patina. But. So,
I'm just getting any of this excess
Okay.
off for her, so it's not. She doesn't get to it right away. So.
got it.
Okay, so that's it.
But otherwise, I think we talked about everything. Oh, the other just
So-
one last thing, right? Because we grabbed this for in case you happen to forget to wear your gloves while you're doing this. And we showed you all the discoloration that happens, with the patinas, right? It gets on the paper towels and stuff. Well, that can get on your hands, and so sometimes just washing them with soap doesn't get it all. So we have this really nice product called D-Lead. So it's an abrasive hand soap. So it's great, if you're soldering or doing lead cane work and you're trying to get rid of that residual lead on your hands. It's a great way of washing your hands, but it's also a great way of, if you get a little stain on your fingers from the patinas, this does a great job of also removing that. So.
Okay, quick question before we sign
Yeah.
off. Marilyn says, what would you suggest if patina leaves halo near seams, or do you find a polish removes it?
Yeah, so that's to me that's I think some of the staining that occurs, right? That halo around the seam is probably I think it's just leaving the patina on too long. So I would try to shorten the amount of time you're actually leaving the patina onto the metal and glass. I'm guessing. I think that probably the polishing compound or the finishing compound probably minimizes that effect. The other thing, like I said, if it's staining glass, my other experience has been that it's probably just particular type of glass, so either color or style or brand or something where that occurs. So I'm not sure.
Once it's stained, is it stained then at that point?
Yeah, usually it is. I mean, once there's a mark on there, but it doesn't come off. So. Unfortunately.
All right.
Any other questions? Well, if you're watching and you have questions, or those of you that are watching us live and have questions, you can always email us at facebook@delphiglass.com, or you can send us a message on Facebook or Instagram. This will be posted up later. Where you can find it where the rest of our other videos are at on our video section on our Facebook page, or you can always go to our YouTube channel. So we have a YouTube channel where you can see all of the other previous ones that are probably equally as exciting and interesting as this one has been. So, but if you guys ever have ideas, for new topics, just feel free again to reach out to us. We love hearing from you. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.